Coming up, Annette O'Toole joins Illeana in just a minute.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
And now, it's the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast, starring Illeana Douglas. Eavesdrop with Illeana as she interviews Hollywood's most prominent players about filmmaking, acting, and what really happens on the set of your favorite flicks and TV shows.
Hi, everyone. I am Illeana Douglas. Welcome to the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Tamara Berg.
Hey, everybody.
You look very fresh, as if you've just returned from a fabulous vacation.
Well, I did.
And I was jealous of all the photos. I said, are you tinting these? And you said no.
Well, a couple of them, yes. I was in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, gorgeous.
And went,
gorgeous.
oh, I have a present for you from Canada.
Oh, well, let's stop the show immediately so I can get it.
But yeah,
extend my birthday.
I went paddleboarding and kayaking. I made jam.
Oh, I love that.
I went hiking and walking.
I made jam. I didn't go on vacation, but I made fig. Well, I made the plum jam.
Yes.
And so then now I made, because it's a fight between me and my squirrels for my figs.
Oh, of course.
Oh my God. It's yeah. So I'm. Nobody knows this, but if you cut off the bite where the squirrel is and then make the jam, it's still good.
Oh, okay. Good thing you cook that stuff.
No, I didn't bring it. I only do it for. I wouldn't subject anyone else to that. So while you were away having a vacation, I've been deep doing research for Trailblazing Women. We have a third season of that coming up.
Yay!
I'm going to be doing a Q&A for a fantastic film called Ingrid Goes West with Aubrey Plaza, and which is about social media. But I have to. I always need a palate cleanser when I'm doing work for movies. So last night, about 1 o'clock in the morning, I discovered Of Human Bondage, the 1946 version. There are 3 versions of this movie.
Oh, wow.
I always thought there was 2. There's one version, which is the 30s one with Bette Davis and Leslie Howard. And then there's the 60s version, which used to air all the time when I was growing up, with Lawrence Harvey and Kim Novak. So I'm scrolling through TCM, and there is, I was like, wait a minute, 1946, Eleanor Parker. Now, Eleanor Parker is an actress I love. She was a dancer and just a very, interesting, pretty woman, married to Robert Taylor. So I watched this, and Paul Henreid, and of course I was riveted. I was up till 3 watching this movie. It's based on the Somerset Maugham, and if anyone, what I love about things like this is that you can always, even if you're a movie buff, you just discover something like, why haven't I seen this?
Right.
And then there are little puzzles, like it's directed by Edmund Goulding, who directed The Razor's Edge, which is one of my favorite films with Tyrone Power. Edmund Goulding also did Nightmare Alley, which I love. And he's got this weird quasi-religious streak that he puts in all of his movies.
Oh, interesting.
So sure enough, he puts it in this one. But it is the best version. If anybody likes the first, not too many people like the last one, but if anyone likes the first version, if anyone thinks that Bette Davis owns the part of, whose name is Mildred, which is weird, it's also like Mildred Pierce.
Right.
If they think that she owns it, you've got to see this performance, because it's incredible. I was riveted by Paul Henreid. It's the best performance I've ever, I've ever seen.
I think one of the
movie.
amazing things to do would be to sit and watch any movie with Illeana doing the sort of DVD commentary, but on the living room couch, because everything that she just did with, and then there's this parallel, and then there's this parallel, and this, and then you like pull out another DVD and stick that in and watch that scene from that movie.
Right.
Because you can do that, because you're so brilliant that way. I'm so amazed by you.
I mean, the one interesting thing is you have the internet too, so you can go, oh, a woman wrote this. Like I was like, oh, a woman, who's this woman? And then I clicked on her, and then I was like, oh, she wrote The Bride Wore Red with Joan Crawford.
Right.
So that sort of ties in a little bit to my Trailblazing Women research. But I just have to say, the Paul Henreid is what I was blown away. Now Voyager, as my friends know, is like perhaps my my top 10. I love him in that movie, and he's in Casablanca. But this movie is Oh my God, about this guy. It's this tortured S&M. He falls in love with this waitress, and she ruins his life, and you just keep saying he's not going to do it, but it's this depiction of this bondage that he is in. Boy, I got it more than any other film depiction of the story. And the movie was so good that it actually made me want to go back now and read
the book,
which I have not read. I have read Somerset Maugham's The Razor's Edge, which is a fantastic book. But it had the feeling as if this were closer to the novel. I don't know why. Maybe because it was so dark. It was so grim that it probably was more like the depiction. But it's interesting. There are parallels, again, with a good man trying to save a bad woman, which is the same parallel that is in The Razor's Edge. There's a lot of interesting parallels in the film. Anyway,
and I know we've talked about this before. I can't remember if I've updated it recently, but I think I'm sure there is a page on our website, which is illeanaspodcast.com, that has your film recommendations and some of your book recommendations as well. So I will add that to it.
Which I have to update.
For our listeners and viewers, they might just want to take a look at that.
Oh, if we're gonna talk in a minute with Annette O'Toole, but let's put Smile on. I'm also doing a documentary coming up on cult movies.
Oh, fabulous.
And a lot of the cult movies I discovered were on television, because they'd be playing in rotation. And that's how you would discover, the hot rock. We've talked about the hot rock. And Smile, and you'd catch up. And even as a kid, there was that favorite transition when you're a kid where you're just beginning to understand, like, no, this is good. There's something about this that's different. And I always, I would just remember seeing Smile, and then if it was on again, because it was such a big deal, we didn't have a video thing. Like if it was on again, or you'd have to tell a friend about it. But Smile just was such a great film growing up, that I enjoyed.
So why don't we bring Annette in?
Yeah, please.
I was going to talk about some other stuff, but we have
so a lot
things
to talk about.
Yeah.
Annette O'Toole, of course, you will recognize her from Superman 3, Cat People, 48 Hours. She was on television in Smallville, numerous television shows. But of course, the most exciting thing is that in addition to having a long career in theater and film, she was nominated for an Academy Award, which is very exciting. And we love your husband too, Michael McKean.
I love him most.
Aw, what a great love story. Welcome, Annette O'Toole.
Hello.
It was so fun. You were gracious enough to do one of the readings for I Blame Dennis Hopper, and one of the cutest things was, of course, watching your husband in the first row, just sit there and beam at you.
We're really fans of one another's, besides...
It's amazing.
It's kind of crazy. We like each other more now
That's
than
my
we ever
fantasy
have.
relationship.
Well, I don't...
what I've looked for.
It wasn't planned. It just happened. We were very lucky.
Wait, but you we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But you met,
That's a little down the road.
You met all over you met like a kind of number of times. Your paths crossed
Many times, yes.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I will get to that.
Okay.
But now, first, I must ask you my favorite question. Do you remember the first movie you saw?
I don't remember.
You grew up in
I grew up in
Texas?
Houston, Texas,
Yeah.
and there was a movie theater. It may still be there, the Eastwood Theater, which was right around the corner from us. So I saw a lot of movies there. Not first run all the time.
Yeah.
But I remember, I don't know if it was the Eastwood, but I remember seeing The Wizard of Oz, because they would show it, I guess, in movie theaters every once in a while. And I was taken to see it, and I don't remember this exactly. My mother said when Miss Gulch came out, who I called Miss Gotch. I don't like that Miss Gotch. I went under the seat. So it was like this very violent. But I remember the first time I cried in a movie, which wasn't long after that. It was Carousel, when Billy Bigelow fell on his knife. I was just weeping, and it was odd because I didn't realize I was that I was like 4 or something. I didn't know I was that invested in it.
Carousel is I've seen it as an adult, and it's a really troubling movie.
It's a terrible story. We've got a hero who's not a real hero.
Yeah.
No, he's a bad guy.
And the way it's shot, it's like these blues and the colors. It does look like a kind of a child's, nightmare.
It is, kind of. Have you ever seen it on stage?
No,
It's
I have
really
not.
powerful on stage. I saw it when nobody knew who Audra McDonald was yet. I thought, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
This girl's got an amazing voice. Oh my God, who is this? It was one of those moments where, like, wow.
Yeah.
Here's a star before she became the star she is.
I was thinking of it because I remember when it played, and it was playing in New York at some point, but of course I
They've
didn't.
done a few.
A few different versions.
Yeah, and it's always, but the show, the stage version, is even darker, and he's even a worse guy. I mean, he beats her up,
know,
and he's
it's
horrible. It's like, how do you
it's
get behind this
terrible.
guy?
I
You know, it's
said
like,
I saw
I'm glad
it.
he's dead.
I saw it sort of, following like a movie like Oklahoma, and then you go into Carousel, and it's like, what is this movie? It's horrifying.
I know, it's really. I can't think, except for like Sweeney Todd. Like, how many shows are there where the hero or the heroine is like bad?
Yeah.
In Sweeney Todd, you got Mrs. Lovett too.
That's
She's
true.
No prize.
Yeah, but this one is, that poor Judd is dead. It's just like,
Oh my God! You feel sorry for poor. Well, that's Oklahoma.
yeah. I'm
Judd
I'm
is
already
dead.
messing
That's
them up.
okay. They're all kind of.
I think I saw them sort of back to back, so I would always confuse.
Well, in the movies, they're the same two leads, so it's easy
Right.
to get that confused.
Yeah, that's probably. I'm gonna accept that.
Yes.
That's my. So now, growing up in Texas, your mom taught dance. I love to dance. What kind of dancing did she teach?
Well, she and her sister had this school.
I already
was
love it.
It was a.
Sounds like a movie.
It is a movie. I wrote a script about it.
did?
Actually, yeah.
Oh my
Never was
God.
never sold officially, but there was some interest at one point. But
Could always try again.
it was that. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I have the energy.
Yeah.
It's just too hard. But it was a great exercise, and they taught everything. My mother was in charge of tap, acrobatic. They both taught some ballroom dancing for a while. They have adults come in the evening, and they do that way before any of this craze. And then my aunt taught ballet and point. And we had personality singing.
I love that. What?
Well, we did a lot of Shirley Temple oeuvre. What makes life? My mother and I were singing this in the car yesterday.
Yes.
What makes life the sweetest, bestest, and completest? It's not a big dollhouse or a Mickey Mouse, but the right somebody to love.
I love
Ice
it.
cream, cake, and I could go on.
I love all that. That's what I grew up with that too. I enjoy being a girl.
Well, that's Flower Drum Strong. That's another Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Yes.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Being a girl.
That was my my audition song for a very long time.
It was.
Oh my God! Yeah. Yes.
You're strictly. I know. Don't get me started with.
Female.
Oh, when people do, have you ever seen a guy do that song?
No, but I bet it's awesome.
Oh, it's hysterical. I remember at some point that came in vogue in the audition circuit, and
Yeah.
it's a killer. If the right guy does it well, it is just about the funniest thing.
That's awesome.
That you've
There's
ever
there's
seen.
this thing in New York they do every year. It's a fundraiser called Miscast.
Uh-huh.
And you go and you do something you would never be cast in. So Michael and I, this is years and years ago,
God, that sounds
went in
fun.
and did the Jet song from West Side Story. When you're a jet, and then we went into some of
Yeah.
the dialogue. Hey, Tony, what's happening? And I remember Dennis O'Hare was there, and he
Yeah.
did something he did some woman's song from oh God, it was something like All That Jazz, but anybody could sing
Yeah.
that. That's what that's what I remember. It was something from Chicago. But anyway,
Oh,
there you go.
well, now I'm off on that. Thinking of that.
You should go do that show. It's
Oh my
really
God!
Sounds
fun.
amazing.
That sounds so much fun. I would love that.
Because you could do anything you want that you would never be cast in.
Yeah. Oh God. I like that. That reminds me. I'm drifting off our questions.
That's okay.
But when I went to school at the neighborhood playhouse, Sanford Meisner was our teacher. One of the exercises that was our favorite exercise is that if he didn't like the scene or he thought it was stale or something, you would do what he called like I don't know why they called it an appendage, but you would add something crazy to the scene, like you had a limp or you had a lisp or you had a Cuban accent. And
That's awesome.
to this day, I always remember, I mean, I never remember laughing as hard in my life as doing a Streetcar Named Desire with a Cuban accent. I'm telling you, or like a crazy limp or a
Yeah.
nervous laugh, you know.
Well, that's very smart because those things are so freeing.
Yeah.
You know, you're not concentrated on this heavy duty work you're doing. You
It
know?
just breaks up the text.
It
or another thing
does.
we would do is we would have to do it like a bad Shakespearean actor.
Oh, that's an easy thing to do, actually.
But you do it like
We're also bad at that.
totally over the, like they'd force you to do it, and it was always hard at first because you were like, I cannot do it. You know,
Yeah.
so it was like, I can't be bad.
But it just forces you to
Yeah.
go for it.
To go-
and to
yeah.
say, you know what? I'm going to make an idiot of myself. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing every day anyway.
It's true.
You know, the more you do that, sometimes the better. And you find stuff. And
It's
at least
true.
it's entertaining for your friends.
Well, because what would always happen is you'd find yourself getting in a zone. The class, of course, would be laughing,
Yeah.
cracking up, and all of a sudden you'd slip into, and it would, you know, and it would become.
Well,
would
my
become good.
teacher, Peggy Fury, was was some sort of associate of Sanford Meisner. In fact, I think she brought that out to L.A., brought his way.
Yeah.
She was the bringer of
the guru.
guruess.
Yes.
And there were so many people here, and we did. I don't remember that exercise, but there was an exercise called the portrait exercise. Do you remember that?
No, I don't know. What's that one?
It was great. You would take you go through either fine art or a photo or something.
Yeah.
And you would, at some point, you would just be living your life. It was like a what do they call it? Not sense memory, but you're just kind of living in this world. And at some point, you would have to hit that pose. And it could be a split second, or it could be, but you would be the person who was in that. And I remember I did one that was some sort of girl on a bed or something. I don't remember. But it was wonderful because
Yeah.
it gave you the life before, during, and after this picture. And it's what we're trying to do in our work.
I loved acting school, and I failed many times. You know, like I do things that were, and sometimes people were so scared. I wrote
how
about
you
them in my book. People were
learn.
so afraid, like,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
getting criticism from Sanford
know.
Meisner, that they wouldn't even go up.
I know.
You know.
The fear that holds people back. It's just, that's awful.
But he would always say, like, if you think this is bad, wait till you get out
Exactly.
there, and that's.
And from what I understand, I never knew him or studied with him, but certainly Peggy, she was so gentle.
Yeah.
Unless she sensed that it was somebody who really needed a talking to. And then it was never me, because I was like, don't say anything bad.
Yeah.
But that's what a great acting teacher does too, is they sense how someone will take in what they
Yeah,
have to give them.
I felt all of his criticisms were, you know, were accurate, and you know, that we had one teacher I won't mention that wasn't very nice, but other than that, my other teacher, Richard Pinter, who was there too for many years, I learned so much. Phil Gushy was another great teacher that I had. So before you got, so you're in Texas.
Yeah.
And how does the movie Smile come about? Like, were you doing theater before that?
I did a bit of theater in the first place I worked was the Alley Theater when I was a kid
Mm-hmm.
in Houston. But we moved to LA because my family felt I possessed this talent that the world needed to see.
Really?
Well, I wanted to be Gwen Verdon. I wanted to be a musical comedy
God, who
person.
wouldn't?
Yeah.
She's the greatest.
Oh my God.
Damn Yankees.
Yeah, and everything else she ever did. And so we went to New York one summer, and we didn't have much money, and my mother was a dancing teacher, but my cousin wanted to go to art school. She wanted to go to the Art Center College of Design here in LA. So they felt, well, let's try it for a year. She'll go do that, and I'll try to get work and stuff, and we'll learn, study. And so I started going on auditions for acting jobs. And so this agent that we got through a dancing teacher friend said, well, you really need to study acting. And so I tried a couple of classes, and it just wasn't for me. But I walked into Robert Ellenstein's class. Robert Ellenstein is one of the guys who kidnaps Cary Grant in North by Northwest.
Oh.
He's not the guy who's married to the woman. He's not the gardener guy. He's the other guy.
Right.
And I remember walking in, I was 17, and I had a huge chip on my shoulder. I just thought, I don't need this. I don't want this. I'm doing this because this guy says I have to do this. And I walked out in love. I felt like, I could just feel myself changing while I was there, like my molecular structure was changing.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, this is so, I didn't know what this was. And I just, something about him and the way he spoke and his gentleness just kind of intrigued me. And so I started working on a lot of scenes, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm 18 and I can finally work as an adult, because before that, it was hard. I did a lot of work, but not a ton. I did a lot of work, but not a ton. That makes no sense, what I just said. I did
Well, you were
some
doing
work,
like
but
TV
not,
things.
I was a dancer still.
Yeah.
I did The Courtship of Eddie's Father. I did My Three Sons. I did this musical show that E.J. Peeker and Robert Morse had called That's Life. That was an original musical every week.
Oh my
I
God!
was a dancer on that. Tony Randall was.
I want to see that. Is that on YouTube?
You know, it probably is. I was only in the first three
Robert
episodes,
Morse.
but Tony Mordente was the choreographer who had been a Jet in West Side Story, married to Shooter
Yeah.
Rivera. I mean, all these little
Yeah.
connections. So I did all that, and then I got cast in Promises, the Jerry Orbach version that was coming out to
Yeah.
L.A. to, I think it was the Almond Center, the Music Center, to the Dorothy Chandler maybe. So that was the week I turned 18, and I auditioned for Michael Bennett. He was amazing, cast me, and then I went in for a Gunsmoke episode, the same, like the next day. And I got this episode of Gunsmoke, and I had to decide what I was going to do. So I decided all by myself. My mother said, you have to make this decision. So I decided I would do the Gunsmoke. I thought I can always go back to the dancing, which was a lie. I could,
Right.
Unless you're going to really do that, you don't go back to that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to put your focus on that. But I put my focus on this other thing. So a few years later, I went in for Smile and met the casting director. And it was weird because by this time I'd been on a lot of interviews. And I'd never been on one like this. I was there with girls I'd never seen before. And dozens of them coming in and out, and they'd go in the thing and they'd turn around and come back. And they gave us forms to fill out like we were entering a beauty contest. So you had to fill out, special school awards and special talents and stuff. And I had left pretty much everything. Like, what is this? I'm an actress. This is stupid. I'm not going to do this. And I saw these girls come in and out and in and out and in and out. I thought, oh my God. Right before they called my name, I wrote down that I did impressions. That I did Groucho Marx, a goldfish, and a dead cockroach. So I go in, and what was her name? Patricia Mock. No, Patricia Mock? Maybe somebody can look up and see who the casting director was. She was great.
Yeah.
She said, you do impressions. Show me your dead cockroach. And I fell backwards onto the couch and did it. It's stupid, just that. So she said, oh, Michael's going to love you. So I thought, oh, God, that's all I wanted, to come back and meet Michael Ritchie. That's really was my goal. So I go back, and I go in to meet him. He's like 8 feet tall. He's such a lovely man. And he said, oh, you're the girl who does the dead cockroach. I threw myself back on the couch and did the dead cockroach.
It's a winner.
Yeah, and I don't know what possessed me, because it was the most ambitious thing I ever did in my whole life. So he really liked that. He gave me like 5. Nobody had seen a script. We just knew it was about a beauty contest.
Right.
Gave me 5 different characters to prepare. And like a few days or a week or something. So I go, and I thought, one of the girls does impressions. I thought, oh, this is the part, Judy. This is the one he really wants me to. So that I put all my work I did on that one. I learned Ernestine the operator, Edith Ann, all these characters, Edith Bunker or whatever it was. So I go back, and he said, well, I want you to read the beauty queen, Doria. I said, I really didn't prepare that one very much. I said, can I do the impressions? He said, yeah. He was so sweet. He said, yes, since you worked on, do those.
Yeah.
But I really want you to I said, well, can I have a few minutes to go? Because I really didn't work on that one. So he let me. Anyway, and then I went back a couple more times after that, and finally got the part of Doria.
Was he videoing, or was it just?
No. I don't remember. No, this was 1974.
Yeah, well, that's what I was.
There was no video. You didn't. You met the director,
Right.
After you saw the casting director.
Yeah,
Then you'd
so you had
actually
no
meet
idea.
these people who would talk to you and see, if you could get along together. So so that was, and it
think
was
that
so
was
much.
better.
And none of us had the last 8 pages of the script were deleted. We didn't know who was going to win.
And did you know it was going to be a satire, or did you have any inkling? Had you
Yeah.
seen his movies before? Did you know him?
I knew of him. I guess he had done The Candidate by then.
The Candidate, but that's the movie my grandfather was
Yeah.
in. Rob
Oh, that's
Redford.
right, of course.
And so that's a real satire.
Yeah.
So
I think I kind of figured it out from the script, and Jerry Belson wrote it. And it's
Yeah.
like everything in every line pretty much is like, oh my God, this is so fabulous.
It's kind of Little Miss Sunshine
Yeah.
before Little
Yeah.
Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
But and tell me about working with Bruce Dern. He's so funny.
He was
I
awesome.
talked about this. I discovered the movie on television.
Oh, yeah?
And
It finally was on TCM not terribly long ago.
well, this is when I was a kid.
Oh.
So it was one of these movies I was saying in the beginning, like Hot Rock, where you'd be like, oh, that movie is on again.
Oh,
and
right,
it would
yeah.
be so exciting because it just was such a funny movie.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
liked Hot Rock, too.
And it was just at that period where when you're a kid and you start to think you're hip because you get a movie
Right,
or you get that it's a satire. Mm-hmm. But how did you like working with?
He was amazing. You know, we don't have much to do together in
Yeah.
the movie because he's the judge. He's always sitting over there.
Yeah.
But I had, you know, there only 8 of us were actresses. Everybody
Yeah.
else was a girl who had been in a pageant like the year before that Jerry Belson and Michael Ritchie had gone up to see. They were judges at
Yeah.
the Junior Miss pageant, and they were doing research.
Yeah.
Or else they went up there and they got the idea. I can't remember which came first. But they decided to write this movie. And so there were all these girls there, and this prop guy, I left a little cassette. I love 10cc, the band 10cc, and I had this little tape of theirs, and I had left it. They'd called me quickly, and we were in the hall, and we shot this whole thing in this auditorium. The what was it? Not the Lions, but some play. You know, the Shriners. I can't remember. Some big auditorium in Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
So I left my little cassette tape in the hallway, and I couldn't find it, and I was desperate. And I went to the prop man. I said, I didn't ask him to look for it. I just said, if you happen to see a 10cc cassette tape, it's mine.
Yeah.
Just keep. He lit into me. You girls, you think? He just went on and on and on about like I was asking him to, you know, do janitorial work or something.
Yeah.
And he would, and Bruce Dern, and I was in tears. I mean, this is my first movie. I thought, oh my God, this is horrible. You know how it is. So I was ran to the bathroom crying. All the other girls had to, you know, it was that moment. They had to come take care of me. And Bruce Dern found out about it.
Yeah.
And he really let this guy have it, not in my presence, but I heard later. And
Yeah.
he came to me and he said, if anything ever happens again, you come to me. You know, he was like our protector, was the sweetest thing. I thought he was going to be mad at me, like, don't do that to our
Yeah.
prop man. Don't ask him things like that. But I'm turning red as I'm saying it because I just remember how sweet he was.
Yeah.
And then I heard recently somebody ran into him and my name came up and he said to please give me his best, you know, and he remembered me so well because I don't think I've seen him since.
Really?
I don't think so.
Oh my God, there needs to be a smile reunion.
There does. My God, Mellie Griffith, Joan Prather.
Yeah, Colleen Camp.
Oh, Colleen.
Crazy Colleen Camp.
Oh, she's the best.
Anytime she's in a movie, it's like, it's Colleen Camp. So were
She's
there any
amazing.
hijinks or with the set, all the girls? Everybody looked like they got I
we
mean, everybody
did.
seems sort of like they're in on the joke. and
Yeah,
not-
we had a great time. It was really fun. And I remember thinking, this is my first movie. I'm going to remember. So I would memorize I remember going to breakfast with Colleen and just talking about how lucky we were to be. You know, she and I both have like this kind of optimistic outlook on things. And I just loved her. I thought she was great. And everybody was wonderful. And Michael Kidd was so great. And because I'd had dance training, he made me sort of the dance captain. Not that he didn't do the choreography, but he, you know, in the acting stuff, he said,
Yeah.
"Let Annette do that," you know. And it was
Oh, that's amazing.
it was great.
To get to work. So then now you're in the night, and I asked this question, anyone who was in LA in the 70s, I'm always fascinated by that experience of what was it, were you going to acting class, were you like, what were the, was there a great, you know, restaurant that everybody, like, did everyone go to Duke's Coffee Shop?
Absolutely,
Like,
Duke's.
is that where,
Duke's Tropicana?
is that where, like, people were hanging out and reading about auditioning and...
You know, it was more in the beginning because I was seeing Bruno Kirby.
Yeah.
We were together for 8 years, and because his dad would hang out at Schwab's. His dad, Bruce Kirby, and so we'd go to Schwab's with all these Italian actors, and you know. Who else? God, who else was there? But yeah, I was studying with Peggy, and I was working though a lot. I was able to take what I was learning in class and really apply it. Because it's so hard, nobody can tell you how to do it. You got to figure it out for yourself. And so I was lucky because I was being able to do both. And we hung out there at Joe Allen's on 3rd. We would go there a lot. And Eddie Begley would have those roller skating parties. Has he told you about
Little
those?
Eddie Begley.
Little Eddie Begley. No, I have not heard about
Oh my God. He and Cher and somebody else would rent the roller rink, because Eddie's an amazing roller skater. I don't know if you know this.
No.
He's amazing.
Glad to know it.
Skates backwards and does all kinds of tricks.
That's amazing.
And so they would rent it out, and like every month, Monday of every month or something. I never saw Cher there, but I know she had some, and you had to have like a secret word to get in. And I mean, there was one night, I'm not kidding, everybody in Hollywood, all of young Hollywood was there. Everybody would try to come, but usually somebody was out of town. This night, everybody was there. I thought, oh my God, if something happens, we have an earthquake, this place collapses, nobody can make a movie.
Yeah.
I had to wait for a whole new crop of people to get old enough to do these movies.
That's amazing.
It was really fun.
I love things like that.
You know where we'd go? The pantry.
So what is the pantry?
The original pantry, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
never closed since the time it
tell me where it
opened.
is so I
It's
can.
downtown on Figueroa.
Oh, okay, I know it.
We would go there all the
Yes.
time. I remember when Richard Price came to town, who we all had a big, huge, artistic crush on. Bruno knew him, and we took him to the pantry, and we took John Hurd to the pantry.
Aw.
Yeah, he
our
was there.
favorite John
Our
Hurd.
favorite John. Oh my God.
So then, your other movies that you're doing around this time are well, what do you get? What happens like after Smile comes out?
After Smile,
I mean, did you have a theme of like, did you want to be in musicals? Or
I
were
wanted
you,
to just keep working.
You just wanted to,
and
act.
it was such an amazing time with all these incredible directors. and
Yeah.
going to meet. I mean, I tested for. I mean, I was considered for all those movies. I mean, I went in for everything, and it was exciting. I remember sitting across from Mike Nichols, who I never saw since.
Yeah.
For that movie, The Fortune.
Wow.
And he was so kind to me, and I was so obviously not what he was looking for, but he spent at least. I met Elia Kazan for The Last Tycoon. I mean, I just
Wow.
met a lot of people who mostly didn't hire me. But that's what happens, There were so many great young actresses then. Mostly Deborah Winger would get the parts.
Oh, so she was your nemesis.
Not really, because
I know,
she's
I'm
too
saying
nice.
funny.
No, Deborah Winger and I tested for Body Heat, and I was not cast officially,
Yeah.
but I was the first girl in Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta when John Avildsen was directing.
Oh, that would have been good.
It would have been great. We went to discos.
Yeah.
And I had known John a little bit from earlier on. I'd seen him audition for Grease, for this like traveling company Grease, when he played Kaniki, and I thought this kid. It was another one of those.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this person has so much more than anybody else here. And he knew Joan Prather. They were really good friends for a while, or maybe still. But
I'm surprised you didn't get in like the Robert Altman kind of,
well, you had
group.
Sissy Spacek for that, and I think I was. I don't know. I would never met him for anything. I don't think I was offbeat enough or interesting in the way that he wanted me to be.
And then a couple of the movies that you were in that then I started seeing at drive-ins, you know, like the Gary Busey movie.
Oh my God,
Fooling Around.
yeah.
And of course, the Robbie Benson movie, One on One.
Yeah.
That was a major part of my childhood. So were those considered genre, or were they just considered movies at the time? They were very much part of my childhood, seeing movies like that.
I don't know what they were considered.
You know, a kind of romantic
romantic
story,
kind
coming
of-
of age.
Yeah.
Coming of age in those days was a little more innocent than it was
I guess
now.
so.
With
I don't
music,
know.
with a great scene.
With Seals and Crofts
Yeah,
in
with
the background.
yes. That's what
Mostly.
I believed in that. And then we have to talk a little bit about, now I'm rounding out, I'm with cat people. One of my obsessions growing up, I love cat people.
Yeah.
And with John, I've talked to John Hurd about it, Ed, Nastasia. And what were your recollections
Oh my
of
God.
those crazy cats?
Well, I didn't have that part originally. Debbie Allen was going to play that part.
Oh.
And something happened with her scheduling thing, and so at the last minute they started to see people, and I met Schrader with John Hurd. They brought John in, and we like immediately just kind of did a scene, and I was kind of cast in the office, which was very exciting and very unusual for me.
Yeah.
And I loved John. We got along. from the minute we met, we were just sort of like buddies, you know,
Yeah.
kind of brother-sister kind of thing going on at the time. He was having some tumultuous relationship with somebody.
With somebody.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Cher or Margot or one of them.
Yeah.
And somebody. So
funny.
we would talk about all that, his
Yeah.
love life, and we went down to New Orleans, and I have a very vivid, and it's I think in my mind because I was just talking about it the other day. This is 1979 or 80, I can't remember when it was. And we're down in New Orleans, and Frankie Faison, this amazing actor, was in a scene with me, and he said, "You want to go to dinner after this?" I said, "Sure," because we were finishing at the same time. And he's African American, and we're walking through the streets of New Orleans, not holding hands, just walking together. And people were giving us these looks, like I thought, is my blouse all open? What's going on? And it's because we were a black man and a white woman walking together. It was, I thought, what year is this?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So that's a vivid memory. But the movie itself, I had a great time. I loved working with Schrader. I thought he certainly didn't go into any kind of detail with you, but I liked it. I felt like, well, if he doesn't like, and I worked with a lot of directors like that. Michael Ritchie was that way too. He would say, I have so much going on here.
Right.
Just do what you do, because I cast you because I want you. And if there's any kind of problem, I'll let you know. And I felt that way about Schrader too. He would tell me, he'd say, 40% less there. You know, and I know exactly what he meant. So that was really fun.
Did you have any interaction with Malcolm McDowell?
Yes, I did. Not on screen so much, but
Yeah.
just we all were at a dinner together and spent a little bit of time with him. And I just had such a huge crush on him. From Clockwork Orange. I mean,
Yeah.
that's me sitting in that movie.
He's another kind of bon vivant
Yeah.
storyteller, larger than
Yeah,
life.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite casts of people. I always imagine.
It was a funny group, and Nastasia was lovely.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
she's
just
like
the height of her
21
beauty.
years old or something, or
Yeah.
20 maybe, and she couldn't have been more gracious and sweet, and she would go out, like if she had some time off, she'd go out and buy stuff and bring it to people. She gave me a little child's toe shoe filled with potpourri that she found in some New Orleans boutique and brought it back and just would hand these things out to me, and it was just so dear. And I think John Hurd was seeing her mother for a little bit of time. Or they went on a couple of dates. Her mother, who was 38, I don't know.
So yeah, I heard there's a lot of interesting off. And were you afraid of the cats at all? We learned from John Hurd that the panthers, there was only one panther,
Yeah.
and the cougars were dyed panthers, which was crazy.
Well, you could not have a person interact in a scene with a panther. You could not do it.
Yeah.
So they would dye the cougars black to do
Yeah.
that, and he had to do it a ton.
Yeah.
There were only. I was never directly in a scene with one.
Yeah.
We were separated, or I was looking at one from down. I can't remember, but
Right.
I remember they were bringing one in, and you had to be completely still. They said, "Okay,
Yeah.
cat's coming through." And you had to freeze. You
Right.
could not move until they. I mean, even a cougar. I mean, you
Yeah.
just wouldn't fool around with that. But I got to play with elephants and stuff. I got to feed, and I'm not a snake fan. You know, I'm not petrified of them, but I don't
Right.
like them very much. And I have this scene, this montage scene where we're working at the zoo, where I had to kind of help this snake shed his skin, and they try to say action, and I was tickling this thing under the chin, and being real sweet, and they say, just kind of rock back on my heels. It shows you that that's why people sometimes do dangerous things on.
Well, there's something about doing a movie where you suddenly have no fear,
Yeah,
and then
you
it's
think,
over.
I am this
It's a
person.
movie. How could I possibly, be hurt like this?
It's a little nuts.
Now, what does Superman 3 come next?
Gosh, you've got the paper there. I don't know. Superman 3. Let's see. Yeah.
The kooky one with Richard Pryor.
I remember. Yeah. That was. I was doing 48 Hours and Superman 3 kind of back to back.
Right.
In fact, I think I left one set and had to fly to London and go back in a little bit of 48 hours. It was one of those situations.
And so how did Superman, because Superman again comes out, and there's Superman 2, and then when you heard about Superman 3, how did you get involved with being in that?
I think that they had me in mind when they knew they were going to write the character of Lana, because Margot was, they were being mean to her because of contract disputes or something, and they decided they were going to show her and Lana Langen. And she couldn't have been sweeter to me. We had a scene the whole day together, and I thought, oh my God, why didn't they use this? Why these two women? That could have made that movie really interesting. I've only seen it once. I've only seen most of what I've ever done, maybe once, sometimes never.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's not like I sit and watch and think, and
Well, Superman 3 it's like when they go that route, like, they're going to make Superman weird and bad Superman.
That's what I remember about it. Just the most exciting part was the titles. When that music's going on, I see my name in those. I got chills, and I thought, well, I can die now.
But you got to resurrect your role years later by coming back on Smallville.
Yeah, except it wasn't that role. It was Mrs.
That's true.
It was the Superman.
But you can
cycle.
sort of say you're part of the canon.
Yeah, I can.
So then, and what are your recollections of 48 Hours? That must have been another fun set.
It was great. I loved Nick.
Oh my God,
he was great. He was just amazing to work with. And I remember that Eddie Murphy was like 19, and he didn't understand about you do a master and then you do a close-up. He said, well, we just did that, and now the camera's over here, and why does she have to stand there? He didn't.
So funny.
Nobody had told him, because he was used to 3 cameras.
Yeah.
And it was kind of amazing. And I remember that I loved Walter Hill. I loved working with him. He was another person. Somebody said, oh, he's a man's director. I don't think you're... it's like, it's my job to get into his world and the way he works. I don't need him to be my babysitter. So I really liked that he was just who he was, and I had a great time with him. I do know that we had shot all this stuff, a whole other ending that I was in quite a lot. And then when I went to the screening, it was all gone. They'd gone back and reshot it to make it. They realized it was like the first real buddy movie that type. So they went back to make it that way, which is totally their prerogative and fine. It was just odd because I didn't know any of that. Nobody had ever. I just go and it's like, well, I don't remember that in the script. And wasn't I there? And well, didn't I say that? Anyway, so I still haven't seen that since then, since the screening. I took my mom.
Well, it seems like, again, that is the beginning of the time where they start doing screenings and re-adding things.
Yeah, changing endings.
Where you don't really know. But why, I mean, did you say afterwards, like, well, why didn't you tell me? I've had that same experience.
No, I mean, there wasn't anybody to ask, and it was obvious. This kid was magic. They were awesome together.
Right.
I would have done the same thing. The only thing odd was they invited me to the premiere, and they didn't say, hey, by the way, we had to change the ending, and you're not really in it that much. And that would, it would have been nice manners, but so what? I don't care.
So, doing all these movies back to back, I mean, did you enjoy becoming famous? There were perks, or you just wanted to be thought of as an actor?
Yeah. I never thought about being famous or wanted any of that stuff. In fact, I look at these women now, and I don't know how they do it. I do not understand how they can go on all these shows and be so funny and bright and look the way they look, and I don't know how do you have this time to do this?
Well, it's interesting because when I was doing my research, I found very few talk show appearances for you.
No.
Did you just not want to go?
I ran the other way.
It's so funny. So you didn't do Johnny Carson?
No.
So fun. Do you regret not doing Johnny at least?
No.
You'd have to come on and tell your funny story?
No, see, I didn't want to do that. I thought, I'm an actress. And that was sort of the time when, you were a little bit above it. You were an actress in movies, and you didn't do TV. You didn't do, a little bit. But I just knew I'd be not good at it, and why should I put myself in that position? And
which, by the way, you're wrong about, because I'm just sitting here like...
You're so funny, yeah.
Listen, it's been a long time since then. A lot of water under the bridge. I've gotten used to a lot of it. I did do Dinah Shore, who was awesome.
Oh, that's amazing.
I loved
Who were
her.
the other guests on Dinah?
Dr. Wayne Dyer,
awesome.
who gave me a copy of his book,
Love
whatever
it.
book was out at the time. I
Yeah.
still have.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Did she sing? Was she wearing a maxi skirt?
Was there a LeMay?
I don't remember what
I
she
loved
was
her.
wearing. I think it was a colored
God.
outfit, and she
She
looked
was
so
great.
beautiful. And,
Yeah.
it was really fun. I mean, it was nerve wracking because I didn't like that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
the moment I walked out, she was so sweet. I mean, she
Yeah.
was just like dripping with that southern wonderful feeling that
Yeah.
I grew up with. So she was very familiar to me.
Kind of yeah. That was a great the great Dinah Shore.
Yeah, she was awesome.
So now I must say, so let's talk about your great love story with meeting Michael McKean
All
on the
right.
set of Laverne and Shirley. Was
Well,
that
we
how
didn't
you
meet
first,
on the set.
But how did you? So what was the first time you saw him?
We were trying to figure this out the other day. We don't know exactly where. It was either at Penny Marshall and Rob
I love that
Reiner's
you're at
house.
home trying to figure this.
We were
That's
trying to,
adorable.
when did I see you first time?
Are you drinking cocoa and going, honey?
Probably. Well, I'm mostly drinking wine, and he's doing something.
You guys need to do a reboot of Adam's Rib.
Yeah,
That's
be
my.
fun.
That's my.
That would be fun.
In anticipation of interviewing you, and I'm because I'm doing research for Trailblazing Women, and we're doing a Ruth Gordon. We're talking about Ruth Gordon. She was married to Garson Kanin.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching Adam's Rib, I said I have to. I'm doing it on the air, but I was like, you guys have to do. You guys would kill it. It'd be so much fun.
Thank
So-
you. That would be
So
really fun.
put that in your hat.
Okay.
Give me a
Yeah, because
producer.
I have so much power to make these things happen.
Even if it's a fun
reading,
reading.
yeah, that would be fun.
That'd be really fun. So I interrupted.
No, that's okay. It was either at a party at the Reiner Marshall's or at a screening in the 70s of something. And he said, was it this screening? Did you see this at a screening? I can't remember now what the movie was. But anyway, so it was one of those two places. And I would see him every once in a while. I always thought he was darling and so different from what he was on the show, And I
Right.
loved the show. I watched
Yeah.
that, and I knew Cindy a little bit, and her sister is in Smile. And we became very good friends.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Carol Williams, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she's the one with the butter churn.
Okay.
And so I would just see him all the time. And I knew he was married, but I never met his wife because she wasn't in the business. And I moved to Oregon because I was married and had 2 children, and I was living for 14 years in Ashland, Oregon. So finally we did this, they asked me to do this Lifetime movie in Portland. And I had decided I was divorced. I'd been divorced for some years, so had he, which I had found out later. And so we did this movie called Final Justice. Yeah, I did 2 movies back to back. One was Final Descent, where I was the, the airplane pilot, and one was Final Justice. So he plays this sleazy lawyer, but Ron Silver was going to play the part, and he turned it down because he thought he'd played one too many sleazy lawyers.
Yeah.
So the director, Tommy Lee Wallace, who had directed Stephen King's It, which I had been in, loved, of course, and who doesn't, Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
It was a major Spinal Tap, And so he wanted Michael to do it, I think, mostly so he could just bend his ear about
Yes.
Spinal Tap. But so Michael took the part, and he remembered, Annette O'Toole, yeah. And he knew the CCH Pounder was going to be in the movie, and he
Yeah.
thought CCH Pounder was playing lead, so he couldn't figure out who I was going to play. So he shows up because he'd just been on some other set. He shows up, and he had this beard, and I didn't recognize him at first. His hair was really long, he had his beard, and he said, "Annette, Michael." And, oh God, I'm off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
But we just had a great time. We became really good friends. I was still living in Ashland, Oregon, but I was going to be moving to LA later in the year. He was seeing someone. So we would just talk about books and movies, like we still do.
Yeah.
And our children, like we still do. And but he would keep in touch with me through email, which was kind of like just becoming really a big deal then in 1997. Well, he'd been around, but for me anyway. So every once in a while he'd write to me and say, Elvis Costello is going to be interviewed on blah, blah, blah. He's probably going to sing this song, And I said, oh, great. And then one day he emailed me and I said, how's your girlfriend, Lauren? How's Lauren? He said, Lauren's in Toronto doing a pilot. It's just as well. I thought, that's interesting. Never, but I didn't have any designs on this man at all. It wasn't like that. I was just happy to be on my way back to L.A. to work and to see my friends and to get the girls in school and things I had to do. But one night he called me, like at 11 o'clock at night, and I knew in his voice. I thought, oh my God, he likes me like that.
Will he like me? He's just got to. I love it.
It was just
you
like
sound
that.
like you're 16. I love it.
I know, it's weird.
It's
It was
great.
Very fun, but it's really, we really knew right away, both of us, and it was just very fast, and we had these two families to combine, and we got married as quickly as humanly possible.
Oh my God, I just got goosebumps.
You just never know what's around the corner. You really don't. I was not in any way, shape, or form looking for that.
Yeah. And what is it that you said books, movies? So you laugh at the. I bet
we laugh a lot.
I always think the secret to a good relationship is if you go to this is my marker. If you go to a party, and that night when you're in bed, you have to agree on everyone at the party. You're like, oh my God, what about the one, the one with the hair? Like that, what was she thinking?
Totally.
You got to go through it, and if they don't see it, then I know I'm in trouble. I'm like, I thought she was very nice. I'm like, okay,
God,
I'm dead.
yeah.
All right.
No, that's a very good indication. Usually at the party, so that we're sitting together in the corner, just talking about them as they're there. Oh my God. No, don't come over here, please.
I love that.
Yeah.
Or doing silly jokes or making fun of the waiter.
Yes,
or doing all that.
We do all those
Does he have
things.
any special, like, little bits or whatever that you do?
Oh God.
Stupid things. I don't know. I had a boyfriend who every time the waiter, we had a in joke. So if the waiter would go, and it's from Provence, and it's that would always be our secret thing. Like we were gonna, like that. Like why do they think that if they like it, we are going to like it?
That's very interesting that you would bring that up. Always in a restaurant, it's something like that. When the waiter comes over or waitress and says, "How is that tasting?" It's like, it was tasting good till you said that. Because now all I can think about is your saliva in my mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't, don't say that. And so that's the thing with us.
Couples
because we'll like the
little-
waiter, think, well, he's nice. He's not being too,
Oh, I know.
he'll come, how's that? No, you said it. Don't say it. I hate that. We have many things. He hates the word
my favorite
artisanal.
is as soon as they go, my favorite. Why should I care what your favorite is?
I know.
And that's a fantastic love story, and you're going to do Adam's Rib, and you did.
You're going to direct Illeana, aren't you?
I will in a millisecond. I would do that. That would be a winner. And then, of course, you go on, which is even more amazing. You fulfill my fantasy, which is then you work together.
I know.
On the Mighty Wind.
I
And so how
know.
was that, again, just you're at home kidding around doing songs, and then it leads to like, hey, this is actually pretty good.
This is kind of a story I've told before on other places.
You may it'll sound fresh to me.
Yes,
oh,
it will.
good. Okay. Well, we worked on a few things together. We'd written a script together for this show I did called The Huntress, and we'd done a lot of readings together and all these things. But for Mighty Wind, he and Chris and Eugene and Catherine, all of them were writing music for this, and we knew it was about folk, and it was about every kind of folk song that's ever been done. So I had just started on Smallville up in Vancouver, and I go for the second episode. I fly up on September the 10th, 2001. Wow. So the morning happens, and before we knew any of that, our dog, who had just wandered up the driveway, who we'd just adopted because he was like roaming the neighborhood, who was this really, he had his issues, but he was mostly a great dog. But he got really sick and vomited, and our daughter vomited. And this morning, everybody was like, there was so much going on. He was having to take care of. Then he turns on the TV, says, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." I turn on the TV, and we're like cities away, seeing all this stuff that's happening. All I wanted to do was get home, but I had to go to freaking second unit on this show, and I'm sitting in the trailer watching the sun go down, thinking, well, this is a daytime scene, and I was holding it together until poor little Canadian PA comes and says, "Well, we're not going to get you to do you today, sorry." And I burst into tears because I'd been holding it together to do this freaking scene all day, and I was just we were all wrecks. So there were a little group of us, U.S. Americans there, and just in this huddle about, oh my God, do you know anybody? And you know who was on one of the planes was Barry Berenson, who was in Cat People. She's the girl who brings me the towel in the pool scene.
Oh wow, I didn't know she. I didn't remember her.
Yeah.
Who was married to Tony Perkins, of course.
Anyway, so anyway, I the next day I got in a car and drove home because there were no flights, there was nothing.
Wow.
I cleared it with the guy, what's his name, the unit production manager. I said, I'm going home. If you don't need me tomorrow, right? No, we don't need you. I'm going home. I'm driving home. I want to be with my family. I thought they were going to bomb LA, and I thought I'm going to die with my family. So I got there, and they called me and said, we need you tomorrow. I said, I asked you. There are no planes. I can't get there. Michael said, let's go back. He got in the car with me, this rental car. We drove back. On the way back to Vancouver, somewhere between Portland and Seattle, I said, I've got this weird melody in my head. Am I making it up, or is it something I know and I just can't get out of my head? It was da da dum da 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 dum. He said, I think you're making that up. And we had no phones with a device where you could record it. This was 2001. So he said, let's think of some way to remember it, a mnemonic thing to remember it. So we came up with potatoes in the paddy wagon, and we started writing this song. I said, well, that's good, but Potato has to be a girl. She's a girl who's in a paddy wagon. He said, okay. So we get to Vancouver. He records it on something he has up there. I can't remember, I guess his laptop. And we finished writing it there, and he said, I'm going to play this for Chris. He said, I think this could really be useful in a mighty win for somebody.
Yeah.
So we did. He did, and Chris liked it. He said, yeah, it's great for the new Main Street Singer. And he said to Michael, he said, would you like to write the signature song for Mitch and Mickey, which the only thing he gave him was it has to be about a kiss. It is, we have to know whether they're going to wonder whether they're going to kiss or not. So Michael said, do you want to write this song with me? I said, sure. So I had 2 glasses of wine. He did his thing. And we sat at the piano and wrote it in maybe an hour and finished writing it, walking our dog Jimmy around the block, finished it, and took it to Chris. And Chris said, this is a beautiful song. I don't think it's right because it's like a real love song. And Jamie Lee Curtis was there, and she said, oh no, you're wrong. That's the song. It should be a real song. It should be. So just in case, we went home and wrote another song called Closer Than Tomorrow, which we still sing and do when we have our little act we do. But which is like a Leaving on a Jet Plane song. Yeah. But the interesting thing about Kiss at the End of the Rainbow is that when they did it, when Eugene and Catherine did it, Eugene sang the lead, what is really the lead part, and Catherine sang the harmony. So because Catherine's voice is more prominent and people think that's the melody of the song. So I was always kind of upset because when we sing it, we do it our way. And Michael said, but that's in keeping with folk music. He said, everybody takes a song and makes it their own. They change it up, and do their version of it. He said, so that's absolutely right. So, and then we did the shanty song, Fare Away, Fare Away.
Oh, well, the Mighty Wind, I love, and it came around at just the point, because that's one of those movies where you think, because I'm friends with Danny Farrington, who's guitar maker, and we'd go to his shop, and he would always pull out these crazy songs that we were listening to, and so when that movie came about, it was like, Ian and Sylvia and all the folkies of that day.
It was really a fun.
And then
thing
going
to
then my last question is just going to the Oscars, and what did that feel like? You must have been astonished.
It was wild. It was
something
wild.
that you do that's so heartfelt.
I know. I was so happy we had each other because I'm not good at that stuff on my own, and I would have been overwhelmed, I think, and way too hard, but he was always there, and we would perform the song. We would go on different
Yeah.
shows and do it, and it was part of the publicity thing. But it was a year where the songs were really wonderful. Elvis Costello was nominated for a song from Cold Mountain. Sting was nominated for a song from Cold Mountain. That amazing song from Triplets of Belleville, that song that's
Right,
all in
yes.
French.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was going to win.
Yeah.
And then this song from Lord of the Rings. And the thing was, that now that we're in the Academy as song, because we're in
Yeah.
two categories, we're in acting, we're also in songwriting. So we vote on the songwriting stuff.
Ah.
And now they send you whole cassettes of all the songs. Then they didn't do that.
Right.
Nobody who didn't see that movie knew that song.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't heard it. They didn't send out a recording of it. So because Lord of the Rings was the movie of the year and it won everything finally,
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody and it's a fine song, but nobody could sing that song.
Right.
I mean, Annie Lennox and all these people wrote it. Jackson wrote it, and Peter. And but it's not a song that. I mean, the thing about our song was it was a character in the movie. That movie was kind of their relationship was built around their signature song, which they then hear about and they then sing.
Right.
The other songs were either over a montage or over the end titles or whatever.
Right.
So I thought, well, if we have a chance, it's that it's different. It is sort of what a song really used to do in movies.
Exactly.
You
What
know?
it used to do, like The Morning After. And
Exactly.
The Side Adventure.
Yeah.
It informed the plot.
Right.
In some way.
But it was just fun. We had a good time, and I was actually kind of relieved when we didn't win and have to go up there and strut around and stuff. But I got to see some friends there. It was fun. But I said I'll never go to one of these things again unless I'm nominated. It's just too much. I just don't enjoy. I don't enjoy competitions over art. I just don't think it's. I mean, it's weird because if you're nominated, it's thrilling and exciting, and you want to win. But in general, I just
Right.
think it's ridiculous.
It's-
How can you say this performance is better than? I mean, a prime example is Michael not being nominated for Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
For what may be the best performances I've ever seen on television, you don't nominate that. It's just ridiculous the way it's
Yeah.
all the television academy is a whole other thing.
I feel like the reward is the I don't know. My favorite thing is just being on set. That's my favorite.
for me, that's exactly it. That's why I don't have to watch
Just
the
the
movies.
minute they call action and the minute
Yeah.
it's cut, that's when it's.
Absolutely. That's why I love doing theater now. I do
Yeah.
primarily theater now because it's all about that. It's all about this hard work that you do
Yeah.
that you then get to do every night and try to get it better or fuller or whatever you want it to
We
be.
were talking a couple of weeks ago. You're doing Horton Foot,
Yeah.
which I love. Again, going back to the neighborhood playhouse.
Yes.
It's, oh my God,
Oh, it
Sanford
was
Meisner
awesome.
and Horton Foot, and Geraldine Page came when she was in The Trip to Bountiful, which John Hurd was in, and
Yeah.
talked to us about Horton Foot, and he would come. Because I think Robert Duvall, that's how he got his big start, was
Yeah.
working with Horton Foot.
Yes, I think he did. I think Horton Foote was the one who said, "That's Boo Radley."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I knew Horton Foote a little bit. He would come to our class because three of his children were in our class.
Yeah.
Hallie and Horton Jr. and Daisy, who's now a playwright, were all in that class, so we all knew one another. And Lois Smith came, who was in the Trip to Bountiful in New York. It was
She's
so incredible.
fantastic.
Oh my God.
Lois Smith, it pops very early on in the movie East of Eden.
Yes, she does.
Like, who is this?
I
She was so good. And then she
I
had this
know.
later career as a kind of a character
Yeah,
actress.
she's incredible.
Yeah.
I love Lois Smith. She's one of my favorite actresses.
Alrighty, well, Annette, thank you so
You're
much
so
for
welcome.
being here.
I was
Please come
happy
back.
to be here.
Yes.
Anytime.
Wonderful, Annette. Thank you. You
you.
can find Annette on Twitter @_A McKean. Thank you.
welcome.
Also, you can buy Illeana's book
Yes, you
at
can.
Amazon and in bookstores. You should buy it. You should read it, for goodness sake. I've been telling you this for months now.
I know, they're out of the hard copies, though.
Uh-oh.
They are?
Only
yeah, it's only
paperback.
paperback.
Really?
Also,
Yeah.
look at our Facebook page and the
Sad day.
website, which is illeanaspodcast.com.
But thank you so much, and
so welcome.
and go buy the Mighty Wind. It's such a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
I have the soundtrack.
It is a great soundtrack.
I listen to it all the time.
Oh, nice.
I still listen to CDs. There's something wrong with
I
me.
do too.
I
It's
had
weird.
my car transformed so I could. I've got that thing, because like what is the matter with you? I'm like, I want my hard CD.
Yeah,
Anyway, as I always say, Everyone's life is a movie with a beginning and a middle and an end. Today, my movie stars Annette O'Toole. So thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here. It's been an
Illeana.
honor.
I love doing this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.